Hello, everybody. Welcome to Carrie on Accessibility. On December 7th and December 8th, there was a conference all about technology and accessibility called Site Tech Global. I don't know why she thinks I'm talking to her, but yeah. And today I wanted to talk about just briefly go over all the different sessions and just talk about some of the new things and newer things that the technology and some of the discussions that they had at Site Tech Global because I really enjoyed the conference. There were a lot of different sessions. Some were about AI, some new AT technology, and things like that. So, before we get into that, if you're interested in technology and accessibility, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And first and foremost, I will have in the description a link to Site Tech Global, all their videos. It was a free conference, which was really nice to have. And I just thought it was really accessible. They live streamed everything on YouTube and they have everything up and you can watch the replay. So I really encourage you to, if you're into technology, to go check those out and to learn more. But I'm here just to kind of summarize. If you don't want to listen to, I don't know, about 8 hours or so worth of sessions, that's what I'm here for. So let's get right into it. And I have some notes here, so that's why I'm looking off camera. But first, there was the dot pad. They talked about what it is, and basically, it's this tactile display, and it's not a braille display. It can show braille, and it'll be multi-line braille, which is really pretty neat, especially for students in, I think, math and science, and maybe even coding. I don't know if they mentioned that. I don't remember. I had a 6-year-old running around while I was also listening to Site Tech Global. So, yeah. But it's a pretty cool device. It will be quite expensive because of all the technology and everything. And, assistive technology is not known for its affordability. But they really want to get this out for the students, especially, and they'll have some districts try to purchase these dot pads when it's needed. And they're also hoping to get some funding from the federal government for more money when it comes to purchasing higher tech equipment. So for me, that's exciting. When I was younger, it kind of really depended on your location and your school district and how much money they had or how much money they were willing to spend on people and children with disabilities. So hopefully that new funding will go towards all the students that really need it. I want to quickly show a quick video about the dot pad. I don't know why I have trouble saying that, but yeah, let's take a look at it. Okay. Okay, it's not showing. Great. Okay, never mind. Okay. Apparently that does not work. Okay, so then I will add more links to the description, and hopefully you guys will be able to take a look at some of the marketing type videos and kind of see it in action and listen to more about it. Okay. So the next part that they talked about was virtual reality and what does that say? Inclusion. So, first of all, I am not the biggest gamer. I That's mostly what virtual reality is right now, a lot of gaming. But they're what it Synconius High, something like that, some type of VR game. That company is working on creating a screen reader for their game and for the metaverse, basically, which sometimes people think that's synonymous to virtual reality in general, but it's really not. There's a lot of people making virtual reality, different kind of worlds and games that are not necessarily connected with the metaverse. But I think that this is really cool. They did a demo, and I would love to show the video, but it's not really working. Um, so again, I'll link that too. But you can use your hand and point to things in the game, and it will give you spoken feedback as to what that item is. The problem here is I feel like even with that, it's going to be really hard to play certain types of games, even if you do have like a screen reader. Um, when things are changing very dynamically, which they do in virtual reality, right? It's like, how fast will the screen reader be able to tell you when things change? And even pointing at things, like, where can I even begin to point? Like, it's like I feel like it's worse than like all this OCR technology, right? Like seeing AI and look out. You have your phone camera, and it's already hard enough to point at different objects with the camera when you can't see exactly what you're looking for and fit it perfectly into the frame. But this is even worse because like the objects in the games feel smaller. And then so like how responsive will it be? Like when you move your hand around, it's something that I could totally see it being helpful if you at least have some usable vision and you can be like, "Oh, there's like a purple blob over there. I can't see what it is. I'm going to point to it. Can you tell me what it is?" And I think that would be really helpful. But what about the people that don't even have like a context of where to start pointing? I think that maybe they need to definitely have more blind users and testing. And just in the chat, hey Alex, she says, "Hey Carrie, how are you? I tried watching one of the panels but fell asleep." Okay, hopefully, please don't fall asleep on this stream, okay? That'll just tell me that I'm really boring, and I hope not to be as wordy and boring for like for some people it's boring as the people say tech global and conferences. I know it's really hard to like parse out the actual information, and that's kind of why I'm making this video, right? There's ELT Nation here, hello. And then there's Tombert, sounds like pointing out loud. Oh, pointing out loud. Okay, yeah. um okay, talked about audio. What is this? Okay, hold on, let me bring this tablet closer because I can't see what I wrote. Let's see. Okay. So then they were talking about, they did talk about audio description from Pixar, but honestly, I felt like there wasn't really much new information when it comes to audio description in general. And I think that audio description is something like really great that they do. And I love how new shows and new movies and even like the old movies, they're going back and putting audio description on it when it didn't have it. And I feel like need to continue doing that. And it's also really interesting for me, like how they actually get like a group of people who listen to the audio description and then they kind of give their feedback, which is the most important like parts that are described. Which parts do you think were described well, which ones not? And I think that's again like I feel like the whole theme of Site Tech Global was nothing for us without us, or whatever that maxim sayings thing is. I think that's what it is. I might be wrong. But I just think that's so important. If you're going to make something for the blind community, we need to be a part of it. Alex says, "Don't worry, you're very interesting." I really like hearing your perspective on things and thoughts. So thanks, and yeah, hopefully I don't make anybody fall asleep. The next one was accessibility and oh, Alexa, you know, the A lady, and I'm not going to say her name because I will probably set off a bunch of them because they like to listen to their name. So Amazon was there and they were just talking about basically their smart speaker and how they're trying to develop for accessibility. So they have things like show and tell, which is basically when the speaker is not only a speaker but has a screen and a camera. You can show different products to it and it will tell you what it is. And they talked about the technology behind that, as well as like how it's not just about the barcode, but they take like the whole picture. A little bit similar, I thought, to Lookout, because for like seeing AI, you have to find the barcode, and it's always frustrating to me. I can't always see the barcode, and I really like Google Lookout and how the implementation is. Like they use pictures, just like a picture of the product, to find the product. And I don't know which way has a better database, but I know that like at least the Google like Lookout version is a lot easier for me to use. They also talked about how notifications and how notifications, especially when there is a camera involved, um, there's always like the color ring that goes around the smart speaker or the smart screen, um, that tells you that there's a notification. But if you are blind and the notification went off when you're not there, you can go a really long time before knowing that there's a notification. And so what they've started doing is basically if they notice that you're in that room, then it'll basically do the notification there based on the camera, which for me, I don't know how I feel about, it kind of looking at me. I'm generally I generally try to have a really positive attitude about technology and even AI and all that, but it does kind of feel invasive. And so I hope that another option that they could do, and I don't know if they already do this, but if you do talk to her or it, maybe it can say, "Hey, you have a notification. Do you want me to tell that to you?" And I think that would just make a lot of sense because, that way you don't necessarily need a camera and it doesn't need to stare at your environment and everything that you do. I mean, it's always listening to us, right? And that's already enough. um, so I think that if it has that closure that you're talking to it, so you must be there, and then it can tell you and prompt you and ask you if you want that notification. Then there was also an event about Apple and voiceover. I think that we've gone over a lot of Apple and iPhone and voiceover related, you know, stuff on this channel, a lot of content on it. If you're interested in that type of content, you can watch the event. There was really nothing new, honestly, in that event. I was kind of hoping that they were going to say, like, they're working on something, but no, there really wasn't. They did talk about screen recognition and how they like to say that accessibility is a human right. And while I might agree with that, I don't know if how I feel about a tech company saying that to kind of like market their products when their accessibility is not perfect. It makes me want to be like, well, my human rights are being violated if that's really what you believe, Can you fix it? And I know that as much as I talk about the problems with Apple accessibility, there are really good things that they do. I mean, I'm not against voiceover and Apple. I mean, there are certainly a lot of problems with Google and TalkBack and, the Android system as well. And I want to make videos about that too, because I don't want people to think that I'm like overly biased. I mean, I prefer Android, but still, there's so many things that I'm like, Google, would you please fix this? Why are you doing this? um, but anyway, they did talk about screen recognition, which is interesting because I always end up turning off screen recognition because it messes things up. I'm sure that there are cases where it's really helpful, but I feel like my default is turning screen recognition off. And then, if something is not accessible, then I turn it on to try to see if it can try to fix some things. But I wish there was a way that they could make it so that screen recognition doesn't really break already working accessible apps. Okay, so let's move on. What I am really excited about are the next two, and especially this first one. Okay, it's a wearable. It's called Celeste, and it's a wearable smart glasses. Okay, I mean, don't turn off this YouTube video. Don't navigate away because it's going to be $10,000 or something. No, it's not. There's no official price, but I'm simply guessing. I did see like a Google result that said $750 to $1,000, and I don't think that's accurate. But maybe it is. I'm hopeful. It could be more, and I'm thinking it's probably more. But it would be really cool if it was around that price point. Um, let's think about it. Like the Orcam and the eSight. The eSight started at like $15,000 a few years ago, and now it's gone down to around 6,000. The Orcam, what did that start out like 5,000, and now it's down to like three or four. And then there's like the Orcam Read, that's a handheld device that's like $2,000 about. And so like I'm really excited because I see all these, and then there's the Envision glasses too. And didn't that also start at 10,000, I think? And now it's like 2, 3, somewhere around there, 2,000, 3,000. And I see the prices going down. And that's great for me. I'm like really happy about that. And hopefully this device is definitely way more affordable than the rest. And I think that it looks so much better. I'm so excited over this. I'm hoping that somehow I can get my hands on one of these Celeste glasses because, like, I don't know how I feel about wearing something like eSight. Like, even if it helped me, which it doesn't help me, I don't know if I'd want to wear that like big, huge headset thing. And I know, there's reasons for it, but yeah, this one looks like a pair of glasses, guys. Okay, it's a pair of glasses, and the only thing I will say is that the temples are a little bit taller. Like I don't know if they're really thicker, but they're like the actual temple instead of like being a skinny little thing that goes over your ear. It's like a taller. And it also has bone conduction headset built into the frame. And this is one thing that I don't know if Envision does this, um, but I suspect it doesn't. Celeste will connect to your phone. So you can use it as like the smart glasses, but you can also pair it with voiceover and talkback. So, and I'm wondering if you could also pair it with your music and things. And so you could have it in that mode, but also have it like do OCR and people recognition. And you know what? We're going to go to Celeste and um, I'm going to just read a few of the things that they have on their website because this is like I posted on Twitter. This is the most exciting thing for me at SiteTech Global. They do also have a $50 deposit to reserve a pair. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm guessing that, they're obviously going to add that to the whole dollar amount. And I could not find for the life of me on their website like how much it will be. And that's kind of like I really want to know what it is, how much it's going to be. But again, it's not like out, so they probably haven't finalized all the stuff on the pricing. Okay. So here, so it'll have scene descriptions and you can call a friend. Oh, one thing is that they will have their own network of volunteers instead of using Be My Eyes, which for me is kind of like, why can't you just use something that, is already there and it's built out? But okay, I guess that's I don't know exactly why they did that. They went with that choice, but I guess they can. But you can also call a friend. So I'm guessing, let's see what it says. Show exactly what you're looking. When you video call hands-free with friends, family, or volunteers so they can help from anywhere. And oh, this is completely wireless, which I really like. It also has voice assistance, and so you can talk to it. But I know there's also like touch a way to interact with it through like touching it. I'm not sure if it's going to be like buttons or swiping or something. There's also a text reader. And so they have like this demo video where this person is at the store and looking at the price tag, and it tells the person the price and like the size, like and everything with the Celeste glasses. And I just think obviously this is marketing and we have to see it in real time in real life and how it actually works versus how their idea of how it will work. Because there's always a huge difference in that. But I would really encourage you guys to at least look at one of their demo videos on YouTube because it's just really interesting to me. And I also love that it feels like really light or that's what the person on Site Tech Global, the facilitator of the conversation, she's like, "Wow, this thing is really light," and I'm just like, "Wow, that's so cool." Okay, Alex says, "I love hearing about more audio description. However, I wish they would bring audio description for theater and TV to Puerto Rico." Yeah, that would be awesome. You should tell them. Tombert, or just add an hourly notification reminder tone to let us know. So that I feel like that would kind of be annoying though. Having it like ding every hour. I remember those watches, like those talking watches, and you can have it like tell you when each hour passes, and I'm just like, stop, stop. Then again, it was a store that I worked at, a low vision store, and it's like I don't know why, but once it comes from where we ordered them, they were set to alarm. And then every time we had like demoed it to people and things like that, it would always like just alarm, and then the hour chime would be on, and don't remind me. I don't think I would like that. If accessibility is a human right, then they should donate the tech. True that, true that. Hi, Tony. And there's also uh oh, I forgot how to pronounce your username. Tough Beifong, I think. Just give me artificial eyes. Yeah, I think that one day they'll have that, and that'll be a nice thing. um, one day. So there was also the arc. So it's spelled AR and then with an X. And sometimes it was called Arcs Vision and Arcs Wear, and just Arcs, like it's not glasses, but it's also a wearable piece of assistive technology. And this was interesting because, Orcam and Envision glasses, they're glasses. Like they have like lenses, right? And you put them and they have frames and you put them on that way. The ARX, I don't know how to pronounce it, ARX. It's actually a headset. It's a bone conduction headset that you put behind your neck and you hook it over your ears, and then there's like a little box on the right side where all the tech is and a camera, and there's like 3 tactile buttons on it. The biggest difference with ARX and Celeste is that Celeste is wireless and ARX is wired. So you have like this dangling wire that connects to your phone, and this is supposed to help a lot with data. Bluetooth is not always the fastest, right? And it's not as reliable as a wire. And like it can also help processing. So it can help with seed detection and all the AI technology behind telling you who's there and people recognition and all this different stuff, right? But I just don't know. For me, as a woman, as me, just really me, I just don't know if I'd want this like these weird looking. Well, they're not weird necessarily when it comes to AT, but for me, I would feel weird when people look at me out and about and they see like this headset with like this big rectangle box. It's not really big. Um but it still feels like it's big. Right, like your cane isn't big, but when you feel like people are staring at you and looking at you, you feel really self-conscious. Whereas like the Celeste, it looks like a pair of glasses. It looks like maybe a slightly funky pair of glasses, but it looks pretty cool. Like it looks so nice. But at least the ARX, it's supposed to have that positive of having the wire and being faster and being able to process more information faster for you so that you can do all that OCR and artificial intelligence thing. Um, and also the AR arcs retails for 13 around 1300 1295 something like that, which is 1200, which 1200 1300, which is a lot cheaper than Orcam. But then I just Double Tap TV did a really interesting like test of the Arcs Vision wearable device, and I would encourage you to go check that out if you're interested. It seemed like a really interesting piece of AT. I just am not sure that I would personally like it, and I just don't know if I would like that wire. I, if the performance was significantly better, like significantly, then I would maybe consider it. But I just don't know about using it outside, out and about. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced, but I think it's really cool because I love AT in general. Um okay. So the one of the next sessions was about humanware and their stellar tech. Stellar Trek, I apologize. And if you know humanware, you know about their Victor Stream, and it's like a little portable device where you can listen to books. It's basically a book player. You can do a few other things on it as well. But the Stellar Trek is aimed for navigation, indoor, outdoor navigation. And it's really like another dedicated piece of technology. And they even talked about how they get a lot of questions about people saying, well, I can do this on my phone, right? Versus like having to carry and take care of and charge and update and all that. And another piece of technology. We came from the age of like in the past where we had a color identifier and we had like a note taker and then we had this and that and this and that. And now like everything is on the phone. Do we really need a separate AT device for navigation? And I think that's like a really interesting discussion, right? And I actually did think it was interesting to of humanware to talk about that. I personally don't know if I would really benefit from it, but I can see how it could be beneficial, especially when it's somebody who does a lot of traveling and wants to do it more hands free. And there's just really nothing to replace like those tactile buttons, right? I mean, touchscreens, they can be accessible. You can use voiceover, talkback, all of that. But when you have a button, it's like so satisfying, so easy. You don't need to look at it. You don't need to swipe. It's really intuitive, right? And at least you would hope so. Um, and I think that there is still space for that. Would I again personally use it? Probably not. They also talked about how some of their specialized products, like how they developed certain things, whether assistive technology that was developed and went mainstream. So their Stellar Tech actually is the one that I believe had door detection before they had it on the smartphones. Don't quote me on that, but they did discuss that and how from that AT it moved over to iPhones and then to other apps. And there's like this kind of idea, I think, in the blind community that, mainstream tech, it comes from them, and then it kind of just goes down, and when it's cheaper and when it's older, it kind of migrates to us, right? But there's actually they discussed how that's not always the case, especially with certain things, and OCR is a really great example. That was, like, created for us in our community, and Kurzweil and everything that he did was for us. But now, like, everybody uses OCR. They might not even realize they use OCR, but they do. And on the mainstream, and not just people who have disabilities. It's so many people. They just use OCR, and artificial intelligence can, like, harness all that information. And I think that I never really thought about it that way. And I think it's really cool that it's gone in that direction as well. They also talked about artificial intelligence, AI, right? They had lots of different sessions called. One that really stuck to in my mind was a session called The Problem with Artificial Intelligence. And I ha- am not equipped to even begin to kind of summarize what they're saying, because they talked about the behind the scenes and the programming of artificial intelligence, and how, like, deep learning isn't actually deep in the sense of deep understanding, but the fact that, like, there's different layers and how the artificial intelligence interacts with, I don't know, stuff. So if you want to go more technical and more about artificial intelligence, I would encourage you to listen to that session, because it was really interesting, even though I couldn't necessarily understand, like, the actual technical aspects of everything. Like, I I mean, I still understood most of it, and I just thought it was really fascinating to think about. And also, of course, the ethics of artificial intelligence. And also, they talked about how artificial intelligence, it's not like creative, right? It's like basically just mimics what is already available, what people do with the data. Like, it doesn't actually um make it doesn't actually know the reason behind things. It just kind of copies it. It's good at copy. Like they use the example of predictive text, and how, oh, I don't know, they say predictive text is pretty good. But, like, when I'm typing, I don't know, predictive text isn't always that great. But when we're using voice dictation, because in our community we use a lot of voice dictation, don't we? And that can go wrong a lot of the time, but it's getting a lot better, and it continues to get better, because that is something AI can do. It can kind of deduce what would logically and typically go next, considering the circumstances. And that was just super fascinating for me. They also talked about the um, inclusion, and um, the biases that AI has. And because of the fact that it just mimics what's already there, it mimics all the biases that, people might already have. And it's really interesting. They did talk about, or mention, GPT, Chat GPT, which is like this really sophisticated AI bot that you can have a conversation with. MKBHD, or Marcus Brownlee, who's a really big tech tuber, he made a recent video about Chat GPT, and it actually, like, he told it, write me a script, an MKBHD script talking about artificial intelligence or something like that. And it did it, and it was pretty good. It was pretty understandable, and I didn't know that it was written by AI, which is kind of scary. But it can go wrong. Um, I want to have a live stream where it's going to be like blindness versus chat GPT or blind people versus chat GPT, something like that. And I'll be having Danny AUC with me. It'll be a really fun session. And I did ask, like, one question I will tell you was, can blind people still have some vision? I think that's what I asked. And it said, no, a blind person is blind and they can't see, something like that. Like, I don't know what it said verbatim. And so if people treat AI and this technology as factual, I think it'll be a disaster. Like, it can be really wrong. Yeah, but there's some interesting things that I did ask it, and it did really well, because then I said, what can a question about, like, what can blind people do? And it talked to me about and wrote me like a, I don't know, 3 or 4 paragraph essay about how blind people can still, like, do stuff, and they might have challenges and they might use assistive technology, blah blah blah. And that was really interesting to me. But I will be having that live stream next Thursday if you want to tune in, and it's probably going to be at 8:30 Eastern. And if you have a question that you want to ask ChatGPT, you can add that in the comments or write it in Discord or send me a message on Messenger or something, and we'll add that to the list of questions that we can ask ChatGPT and just have fun with it and see how wrong or how right it is. They also talked about Waymo, which, if you don't know, it's a kind of like a ride-sharing app, except that it's a self-driving car. Yes, a self-driving car. And I didn't really realize that this is out. This is for the public. People are actually using this right now in Phoenix, and their next, like, city is going to be LA. And this is, like, scary for me, but also really exciting for me. Um, I would really like, that's my dream, to have my own car, um, to have a self-driving car. And the fact that it's kind of already out in a very limited sense, and of course, like, they're still doing testing, is so exciting for me. I don't know about you, but, like, I just love the idea of being able to go wherever I want and whenever. But Waymo, it's more like it's a self-driving car, so you don't have to own a car and you don't have to use Uber, like, with a person. You could just use this self-driving car and be by yourself and stuff. And I guess that's also cool. I don't know, like, the pricing versus Waymo versus Uber, which would be really interesting to know. Like, there's no actual person, right? It's all technology. So is it going to be cheaper because there's no person, or is it going to be more expensive because the technology is more sophisticated? So that's really interesting. But they did do a lot of different tests, and they had, like, this contest or, like, some type of thing where they actually took 12 different people from the blind community to do testing for Waymo. And apparently they learned a lot of stuff. When you talk to people who are blind, you will come up with a lot better of a device or a service. There's, like, the honk the horn thing. So it'll honk the horn so that you can go find the car, because apparently the car doesn't actually drive up to you. You have to, like, walk to it. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Like maybe it'll be across the street or something, and you'll have to you find it. And so it'll give you like the map directions if you're kind of far from it, like a block or something like that, a few blocks away. But once you're close enough, you can like make it honk the horn and you can find the car. It'll also have like the ability to kind of tell you what you're passing. And there's a Starbucks there, and all that kind of thing. And I think that that's really cool. um, there's just so much technology, so much AI, and I think that it can be dangerous, but it's also really exciting, all the different things that it can lead to, and that it really can help people, especially in our community, have more independence. And I just think it's really super exciting, and I just can't wait to see what happens next. And that's pretty much like Site Tech Global and in a nutshell, plus like some of my thoughts on it. I thought it was a really nice conference. And I will be joining for next year as well. And I'm really excited for everything that's going to come out, especially the Celeste. I'll let you guys know if I do somehow get a demo unit or something like that, because I think it's really exciting. Um, Tony says, I can wear it on my head. I feel like I'm a cyborg. So I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but like if you're talking about the ARX, yeah, I kind of I get where you're coming from. The thing is with the Celeste glasses, like I feel like I won't feel that way. And so that's really cool. Tough Beifong says, why does everything that it assists us have to be so expensive? Okay. Do I really this is a really interesting question, right? And generically, most people will say supply and demand. There's really not that many people that it can help versus like, an iPhone, right? They make millions and millions and millions of iPhones. And so they can really get that price a lot lower. And I think that there is that. There is supply and demand. That is a factor. But also, a lot of the time, the customer is not us. The customer that these companies are looking for are not blind individuals. They're organizations. They're the government. They're vocational rehabilitation. They're the VA. And so we are like the last customer. They're also targeting people that are retired and maybe already have a lot of money, and they became blind later in life, things like that. And so I think that's a huge factor in the pricing. And then there's also a lot to do with how a lot of these businesses work. They have the the headquarters, and then they have distributors, and of course, and they have resellers, and then it's the customer. And so each time that it goes through another channel, the price increases, of course, so that each middleman can have a cut of the pie, basically. And I think there's a lot of factors why AT is so expensive. And so I'm hopeful that companies will change their structure, and like technology will go further, and AI will go further, and everything will just go further, and these prices will keep going down. Tombert says, what I would like is a pair of wearable glasses that connected to my navigation app and places lines for or arrows to follow on the glasses for me to see and follow. So that's kind of what we had with Google Glass, right? But I don't know if that was really accessible. because it's a projection on the glass, and it's like a very small thing. And of course, if you're sighted, you can see that. And that's basically AR, right? And I think it would be really cool if they could possibly make that, but something accessible. And I think also I'd love to have something like Celeste glasses, but instead of lenses, they're monitors or screens, or maybe even a projected screen, something like that. And I even was talking to my sister. I'm like, well, there could be like two modes. It could be like one that's clear and you could like see all the stuff around you like normal. And then you know how they have glasses that have lenses that transition when there's sunlight, it gets darker. So they could have like a mode where it gets darker and it like completely blacks out, maybe. And then you can really see like the screen and the projection or whatever it is. And then it can be like a magnifier. So it's like a WeZoom, a wearable WeZoom. Because right now, like, what do we have? Like all those wearables, like Iris Vision and Ace Sight VR, like this huge thing on your face. And that was created for virtual reality. And I just feel like we don't really need that. Like, we just need the screen. We need to make it as big as we can make it and everything. And I feel like that somehow, someday, they'll come up with something like that. And I wish that they can make something like that. Tony says, have you seen on TikTok they have Rex online showing the robots that are being sold to help offices, and they can help disability in their home. They are in Germany. I have not seen those robots. I'm not sure which robots you're talking about. I mean, there's plenty of different robots, right? But of course, they still have a lot of limitations. And I would love to see one of those robots. I'll have to look that up actually and find out about that. I think that I just don't know for me about robots in my home. Maybe. I know that right now I'm living with my parents, and they probably would definitely not like that. I mean, we all use smart speakers already, and they didn't like that already. And I just can't imagine having a robot. Maybe if I have my own home, that would be so cool and interesting. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. That is Site Tech Global. And I hope I answered all your questions. And I just really wish I could go to places like ATIA and CSUN, but I guess that's what we have Sam for, to go around the different booths, and that's always super exciting. One of these days, I will go, and that will be a heck load of fun. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Take care.